everybody, we are here at the beautiful Beach Street Records in downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And today we are going to be going inside and picking out 5 vinyl records based solely on the album artwork alone. Interested? Let's continue. So then you usually do like a second one. Yeah. All right, we're in.
Okay. You haven't told me the angles.
Where do we start?
Like that one.
That's all I had to contribute to that.
That's behind the shoulder cam. There we go.
Oh, Josh, I like your initiative.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your initiative.
The phone's button has mold on it.
You take that back.
It does.
I don't know, here's the thing, I'm torn, right?
Yeah.
There's this one, and like I am a big guy on minimalism.
Oh, you like the one where it was like a picture?
No.
Oh no?
That was terrible, I hated that one.
Okay.
Yeah, this was it.
Oh, okay. Back up. Okay.
Kitaro, Oasis. I think this might be the first one. This guy looks really chill. He looks really simple.
Come on, is it ready?
And I also like the colors. It's like watercolor. Oh, actually,
It is, yeah. It's very pastel.
it's either watercolor or it is pastels, I think.
Yeah, it's very pastel.
So this is our first one.
That's the first one.
Back to you in the studio.
Back to me in the studio.
You're not a part of this
Okay.
at all. Hi everyone, Anthony Brantano here, the internet's cheesiest music curd. And it is time for a review of this new Kitaro album, Oasis. Multi-instrumentalist, Japanese recording artist, composer, record producer, arranger, new age musician Kitaro is back with his 3rd full-length studio album, if this review were written in the year 1979. However, even into 2022, the dulcet tones of Kitaro's cosmic sound feel just as effective and classic as they've ever been. The synth leads and bass lines mixed with acoustics like bongo drums, tambourines, guitars, create this surreally authentic experience that feels ancient yet familiar, but with a cosmic and spacey twist. Tracks such as Rising Sun, Aqua, and Moonlight take on a much more calming meditational pace, lulling the listener into a trance, begging you to close your eyes and just let your mind wander free. Then songs like Cosmic Energy or Fragrance of the Nature bring things up a notch with bouncy percussion to liven up the mood with a more adventurous fervor. The overall vibe of this LP is stacked with spacey arpeggios, synths that sound like pan flutes, and tracks that take their time to really embed this galactic, pot-fueled, peaceful odyssey on the listener. I am feeling a light to decent 7 on this thing. Tran? Zishin?
Am I gonna finish it? Okay, that one's very rapid.
Me when there's one slice of cake left in the fridge. Oh, look at this dude. There's 3 of them. How did he do that?
Oh, I see. There's a mirror, and then that.
Oh, okay, well the magic's ruined. Ooh, this is a nice album
Oh,
cover.
that's a very nice one.
Got the chunk out of the top.
I think you should just get that one because it's a mystery.
That's not the point of the video though. It's got to be a good album
Don't judge a
cover.
book by its cover.
That's what the whole point of the video is.
Oh yeah, you're judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, there are going to be people, by the way, that are like, dude, you're missing out on a lot of great music. You're undermining so much great music by just focusing on one element of it. And I'm going to choose not to listen to you. All right, you know what? How about this? I have an idea.
Yep.
I was going to wait until the second one
Yep.
that we picked out. I'm going to ask you a question, Josh.
Yeah.
Can you go around this store and find an album cover that you really like for me to listen to? All right? Okay. And I'll just be over here. You just do what you got to do, man. You don't have to pick too quick. Wait, Josh, I need you to get me B-roll. This is the second one I picked out. It reminds me of childhood and youth, and I like highly detailed covers. So I'm very interested and excited to see what secrets and magics this will. Okay, look, it took us like 2.5 hours to put this on, so I'm not taking it off for the rest of the video, but I'll drop the Fantano impression. Also, for the record, Jackson, this album isn't called Stone's Throw. That's the record label that James Pan signed on to shortly before releasing this under their name. It's actually called Rhythm Trax Volume 1. This album was definitely the most curious one out of the bunch that we selected. There were no notes or credits on the back, nothing inside except the vinyl, and the entire aesthetic of the album cover feels like you've just unearthed something forgotten by time. But it was very good. A surprising amount of bangers on this thing, much more than I was expecting. While I did anticipate a scrappier feeling record with more haphazard production, instead this album delivers an appropriately titled volume of tracks, each ranging from about 1 to 4 minutes each, and subsequently delivering fun and exciting ideas that feel like polished yet rough-cut demos. And for what little I can actually find out about this record online, it has somewhat of a legacy, as the 7th track featured on this LP is actually in the first installment of the video game franchise Little Big Planet. That track as well definitely stood out to me as a favorite, with its 2 infectiously groovy bass lines complementing the heavy, meaty drums. It's a simple track, but very effective in getting me to sway side to side as I was listening to it. Another highlight for me would be the 3rd track on this album, and by the way, these songs don't really have titles. The only semblances of actual names you can find are written in pencil on the spindle artwork of the vinyl, but they're mostly difficult to read out as they blend into the Sharpie branding on each side. This 3rd track starts off very promising, though there are moments where it feels like the beat kind of trips over itself a bit, but this amateur jam session finds its footing into quite the groovy track, with a freestyle synth line dancing along the beat, and great acoustic percussion from hand claps to tambourines to heavy drums. Some tracks on here are more scrappy than others, with some feeling like synth demos that were briefly explored but never to their fullest extent. Tracks 5 and 9 feature stripped back drum machine beat pops. A majority of these songs, while a bit scrappy and crudely produced, exist really well as their own isolated tracks. It feels like James Pans got into a studio and messed around on a collection of beats, spending long sessions on each song until they felt somewhat complete. Overall, pleasantly surprised with this. There's a good chance that I'll come back to quite a few tracks on this album, so I'd say mission accomplished. And I'm not gonna give it a number rating. I don't like giving number ratings anymore.
So I'm very interested and excited
To see what secrets and magics this will.
My pick is this one.
Is it really?
Yep.
Too Bad Riddims
Yep.
XL. You know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
There's a haunted side and a Dugu side.
Ooh.
By the way, the first song on the Dugu side is Dugu Dugu. I don't know. This is very interesting though.
I know. That's why I picked it.
All right. Okay.
Skilled picker.
You don't get too cocky, my friend. Well, thanks, Josh. Bud. Pal! If there was ever any doubt in my mind that I don't like reggae, then this album certainly put that to bed. I got nothing personal with the reggae community, it's just one of those genres that doesn't really stick with me. It pretty much goes in one ear and out the other. Now with that being said, this album isn't a complete disregard. In fact, its production is actually kind of interesting. You see, it's called Too Bad Riddims because on each side, Haunted and Dugu, I'm just speaking gibberish. Haunted and Dugu, respectively, are essentially one long individual song, with several artists' different lyrical interpretations being the breaks in the track listing. I had only come to that realization about 4 tracks in when I had to stop myself and just be like, oh, hang on. Is this the same instrumental? It can't be. But it sounds just like it. It was my own disinterest in reggae music that disguised the fact that this entire side of the album was just the same 20-minute long instrumental. Granted, it's not the same 3-minute piece of music on loop. Each artist brings their own variation on the main progression by either adding to or stripping down the instrumentation. So I found that to be pretty neat in terms of production on this album, considering I don't really know many other cases where this kind of project happens. It's a really cool idea, I just wish I liked reggae music enough to fully appreciate it. Also, I figured it out. The Dugu side of this record is about sex. How? Take the titular track Dugu Dugu, where the genius annotation for the lyrics states that here, Stranger is listing all the interesting places where he has had, or plans to have, sex. It was only until about a few tracks into the Dugu side that I decided, you know what, I might gain a bit more perspective on this album if I maybe Googled some of the lyrics. But that didn't really help much other than illuminating the core themes of this side. And that's all I can really say about Too Bad Riddims. It's reggae, so if that's your thing, then this album did that pretty well. And hey, not only did I crack the rhythm system, but I also learned how much power I truly gave Josh in that moment. Back to you. Hold on. Ooh, this one I like. Ooh. Look at this one. Actually, I really like this one.
That's actually, yeah.
I actually like this one. I think I'm, oh, okay.
It's very futuristic.
This one we have Ronnie Montrose, Open Fire. Back to you in the studio, Jackson. I didn't do that before in the other ones. Thanks, Jackson. Open Fire already has a really good spot in my books, mainly because of the 2 instances during listening to it that I was reminded of my favorite album of all time, Random Access Memories. For starters, the start, titled Openers, as it opens the album with this incredibly theatrical orchestra performance that feels like it was plucked straight out of the introduction of a 50s movie. Kind of like how oh my god, I am really bright. Hold on a second. I was really bright for a moment there. Kind of like how Beyond begins. Do you remember the beginning of that where it was like da-da-da-da-da-da-da? There are these grand strings and epic brass sections. Seriously, listening to this, you feel amped up like it's your one night a year to go out to the movies and you're there and there's a freaking entire orchestra just beneath the screen. It's that fantastical. But also don't forget that this is a rock record from 1978. So the next track bursts in with a striking guitar lead and exciting drums that almost feel just as intense as that car chase would have been after those opening credits. In fact, the majority of the tracks on this record feel as though they were specifically commissioned for film, as each one begs me to close my eyes and picture a scene going along with the music. It was a really cool experience having this Viewmaster film playing in my head with each succeeding track. But don't get used to the heavy rock though. Open Fire is actually the pinnacle of that sort of sound on this record. In fact, the tracks that I enjoyed most of all were the more subdued ones. Leo Rising starts with these warm, fluttering guitars that smoothly find a groove to jam within. My Little Mystery begins like I'm entering my very first Renaissance fair, and it's just enchanting. And it too eventually finds this catchy groove to reside in. Listening to this album, you'll notice that just as much care and thought was put into the less get on the floor and dance tracks as the heavier rock and roll cuts. The slower tracks feel almost aimless in their introductions, like the tracks are exploring the space around them before finding a stricter song structure to latch onto. Very hot. I know I'm jumping around a bit, but Heads Up starts with this badass galloping bass groove and thick guitar leads that feel as though you're driving recklessly down a long stretch of highway with the fuzz and heavy pursuit. Town Without Pity carries this erupting guitar lead, but also has this gorgeous string arrangement that comes in to help complement the track. It feels like such a cinematic close to a film where the hero loses his battle, but ultimately wins in getting the girl. Have I made enough film analogies yet? Do you want me to make more film analogies? I also have to briefly mention Rocky Road, and it's also got, who would have guessed, an amazing guitar lead. Oh jeez, you'd think the guy behind this was a lead guitarist somewhere else, perhaps in a band literally named after themselves. The final track features this trippy opening of ominously frantic bleeps and bloops that reminds me of one of my favorite songs off of Random Access Memories, A Touch. Similarly, this track's spacey fever abruptly cuts to the main musical melody of the song. That is perhaps the most fun version of a final credits sequence than any other ones of this album. I was not expecting to have enjoyed this album just as much as I did, let alone have so much to say about specific tracks. Going into this, I thought it was just going to be a generic 70s rock record, but it shattered my expectations, whilst also being a pretty solid album overall. The genre of this album is listed as rock with a jazz fusion, and I believe that element helped keep these tracks alive and interesting all throughout. Never did a song bore me or lose my interest. It was honestly just a solid album. Strong recommendation on my end, but also if you get the chance, listen to Get Punk's Dash Lucky. It's the sound of the summer. Oh, hang on. Ooh. I do like that. I like the color. It looks like it's from a Game Boy camera.
It does.
You remember the old Game Boy camera?
Oh, I do.
This one also caught my eye.
It did. It was very shiny. And
Delusions of Grandeur.
And then it's continuing.
You know what? I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Studio Graphics, but this one I like the artwork of. We have Delusions of Grandeur. We have Delusions of Grandeur. Hi, Jackson. How's it going? It's going all right. What are you eating, Jackson, right now? Tell me. What? I'm not eating anything. What are you talking about?
Delusions of Grandeur.
I'm having Delusions of Grandeur. Ho, Jackson, you ignoramus! Delusions of Grandeur is not the album title, but rather, again, the name of the record label plastered on the back of the vinyl. This is the front, which, doesn't look as cool as this, but whatever. And this is actually an EP titled 7 Day Path by Lex, Athens, and Locke. Pretty cool names. It's music that would definitely fuel a DJ set, which isn't really a surprise because the two people behind this EP are DJs. The last track is probably my favorite, purely because its specific grooves and beats were what entranced me most out of the 4 tracks on this record. Everything else is pretty good as well, embodying similar lengthy durations to facilitate proper jams in both nightclubs and night bars. Nothing too aggressive, just danceable enough to keep your mind off it and find yourself grooving within the beats. All right. All right, we get it. We got it. I want to thank my patrons for helping me out to do this. I also want to thank Beat Street Records again for letting us film in there. Okay. Really cool people, really cool store, really cool ambiance. Okay. Actually, no, I should. I want to thank Josh for manning the camera. Hi. He's a good guy. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been the video. Careful, watch for people. Watch for people. Oh, wait, that's right. Hold on. We need... Hold on. I totally forgot. We need to film an intro. I need to film an intro real quick. Hold on. Oh, no. That's called a clap sync. You ready for me to rip off this thing?
Do it.
How should I do it? Should I just go from the back? Oh, no. Didn't help that some of my hair got in there. I'm gonna take my glasses off.
That'd be smart.
No! It doesn't rip off like a Band-Aid would.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of glue there.
What?
There's a lot of glue there.
Oh, there is. Yeah, there is. Ow! Oh, you got it right on the ear, too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh! Ah!
Way to go. Okay. Now we'll get you the,
Oh yeah, we need the spirit gum remover.
Okay, I'm gonna pause now. I'm gonna stop it, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. That was nice.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll need the spirit gum remover.
I got 2 angles on that now. I'm excited.